Thanks for joining us today to talk about Google Discover for SEO. I'm Rebecca Berbel, the Product Marketing Manager at Oncrawl, a technical SEO platform for data, and that includes Discover data for competitive websites. And I'm here today with Clara Soteras. Hi, Clara, how are you?
Thank you very much, Rebecca. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're here. You are one of the ideal people to talk to about Google Discover. Clara is an SEO for news expert and an SEO and digital consultant for publishers. So sharing knowledge is really important to her. She's an adjunct professor at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. She lectures about SEO for publishers and news sites in various master's degrees and other courses, and she regularly participates in conferences, in congresses, and in SEO events. She's recognized by the SEO industry as well. She sits on the jury for the Global and the European Search Awards. She's a member of the Programs Committee for Online News Association Media Conference, as well as a member of their jury for Journalism Awards. She's digital advisor in the areas of audiences, SEO, and AI at AMIC, an association of more than 500 local publishers. And she's also a member of the Women in SEO community, Mujeres en SEO, in Spanish, and a member of the Google Product Experts. Clara, I think I really wanted to start talking about this by talking briefly about your current job. You're the SEO and product director at El Nacional, a Spanish news outlet. And you've done a lot there. You told me earlier that there was previously no SEO there before you started. So you built their team up from scratch?
Yeah, well, thank you for the invitation here, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, I start in Nacional, and I work to create this team because there's no SEO in-house before, and well. Now we are 8 people with different roles: technical, trending, SEO on page, different type of roles, more analytical to start and create this change of the mindset of journalists. Probably what I'm most happy about in my work that I have managed is to evangelize this SEO in newsroom and universities, to translate what SEO is for journalists, business people, and other profiles that do not have this knowledge of why it's important to do SEO.
That is a huge thing we hear all across SEO, particularly with technical SEO and elements like that. But it sounds like it'd be really fair to say that SEO, where you're currently working, particularly for news, involves all sorts of teams and strategies beyond just SEO.
Yes, SEO is more than rank and position in search. No, in a newsroom, in a publisher, you think as SEO like a product, like a change of mindset in the newsroom.
So we're here today mostly to talk about Google Discover, which is a feed of stories that has been tailored to a Google user. So it doesn't have a keyword query like traditional SEO does. So where does Google Discover fit in? Why should an SEO optimize for Google Discover?
Well, Google Discover is one of the most important channels for media today. I would even say more than search. In fact, according to some of the latest data that has been published and that share among industry colleagues, Discover is bringing a huge amounts of page views, and content creators should be focusing our efforts there right now in light of the evolution of search and the introduction of AI overviews on the results page. So Google Discover is a feed that suggests content based on multiple factors that your Google user records. And it takes into account what you read, what videos you watch, your search history, your location, and all of this creates your user. So what it shows you, it doesn't show anyone else, and it's a completely personalized feed. And we need to increase our strategy, our content strategy, in Google Discover, because it's our first channel of traffic nowadays in the majority of the publishers, not only in Europe, but also in Latin America or other countries.
That's partially why we really wanted to talk about Google Discover today. We know it's such an important search channel for organic search for publishers, but not just publishers. Like you mentioned earlier, we're seeing e-commerce using Google Discover as a viable means of attracting buyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that we know that Google Discover, or we think that Google Discover is only for publishers, but some different e-commerce that start different strategies in their blogs, for example, they can achieve a high volume of traffic that lets them to discover their brands. So
Right.
it's super useful to use trends and the topics of the day to create content ad hoc with the calendar, with in a country, in a city, to rank this run and this domain in Google Discover too.
So that sounds like it would be really difficult to optimize for. So when you go to do that, what are your top tips? What are the key things that you would do for Google Discover?
Uh-huh. There are several tips, but for me, two of the most important are the headline and the photo. It is very important that the headline is not boring. It doesn't need to be clickbait, but it does need to be a bit catchy and make the reader want to read more. For example, you will find headlines like Kate Middleton new skirt that you can find in this clothes shop for less than 20 euros, or something more like the beach less than 30 minutes from Barcelona that looks like you're in the Caribbean, or the last 5 things you shouldn't forget in your suitcase when you go on holiday. All of this has to be accompanied by a photo, recommendable detailed shots. But for example, we would not show the absence of Kate Middleton, but only her face, because this way the user will enter the news. Nor would we clearly show the name of the beach we are referring to. And in the suitcase article, we would not show the accessories, but just an empty suitcase, for example. Images must also be optimized, and we recommend a minimum width of 1200 pixels and GPG format, and never PNG.
So there's a lot of teasing involved because you really want that click.
Another important element is also eye-catching adjectives in the headline, list of things or headlines with questions. From there, the tips may vary according to the terms and entities and according to the publisher, but it is highly recommended to take into account the location of your users and make local content. Also mentioning cities, towns in the headline that are close to your audience. For example, the best coves on the Costa Brava for the summer, or cross Europe with this interrail route for less than 50 euros and for 12 days, for example, or 5 tips from travelers visiting Paris. Another point to bear in mind is also that when the news is published, it should be linked from the page with the most authority. In the case of media outlets or newspapers, this is the homepage, and interlinking should be done too. At the same time, it can also be shared on social networks to generate the maximum volume of user traffic in a short period of time, so that Google will understand that it is a topic of interest and generates a trend. Google also takes into account whether it is a topical and trending topic, but this is becoming more and more diluted because we can find all kinds of content, also more timeless or evergreen content. These are some basic tips, but depending on each publisher and different topical, vertical, or thematic niche, a very interesting ad hoc strategy can be created.
Okay, that sounds like it's a really complete strategy. So there are some interest elements, some localization elements, some technical elements, some topical elements. Very complete. So it's not just what's trending. That's really good to know. What are some of the results that you've seen a publisher get from optimizing for Google Discover? So why would you want to pursue this? What are the results?
Well, I think that the best results can be seen on a daily basis by seeing if you get traffic from Discover. And therefore, when an article enters there, it can get thousands of visits in a few hours. On websites like media or news publishers, this is a common. But when you manage to get a strategy that ranks in Discover for a small website or an e-commerce or another blog, this is very noticeable.
Oh, absolutely. Thousands of visits in a few hours for a small site that is worth sometimes the whole month's worth of traffic on a certain page. That
Yeah,
sounds amazing. Thanks for sharing those basic tips. But we were
yeah.
talking earlier about AI overviews and Google Discover. Do you see an interaction between those two things? Is there a
Um,
relationship for you?
Well, nowadays, AI overviews doesn't arrive at Europe yet, but we know that every change that Google makes in their interface, it's applies to Google Search, Google Discover, and Google Discover is a volatile channel. So we are checking every day how
Yeah,
how is Google Discover today, no?
right. So, because it's changing and it's evolving, and we'll see what happens. Is there something else you feel like you really would like to share today about using Google Discover as a publisher?
I
You can
think
say
that,
no.
yeah, I think that you have to take into account your topical authority. For me, it's something that it's really important, and you have to know where and which is your expertise, and which authority has your authors. If you are a generalist medium, you can write about politics, economical, sports, lifestyle, but well, you need to know uh, which author has to write about politics, and you have to protect this EEAT, and you have to work on that, because this is something that can affect and can be useful for ranking on Google Discover. So you have to analyze perfectly um, your entities, because you know, if when you write about one entity, no, for example, you write about Olympic Games, for example,
Mhm.
and you are specialized in sports, you will rank every day in this type of things. But probably if your site doesn't talk about this topic it's difficult that at this point, at this time, you can push and you can achieve this high volume of traffic with this content. You have to create a content strategy based on Google Discover. For example, if I can mention one example that we are doing in Al Nacional, our publisher, we create a content strategy for the vertical niche lifestyle. So we center and we prepare different type of content and different entities that we will interest to rank, and every day we publish different articles about these type of things related with the cities, related with our local information, and related with different type of things, more evergreen too.
Okay, so that's very much what you were saying earlier. That's a great example, because you mentioned earlier talking about growing a niche, being specific, talking about using the correct authors and building authority in a certain area. And that's a great example to show exactly what you mean by that. It doesn't mean just publish random articles about sports so that you can talk about Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably if we talk more about the sports, you can be authority. You can have authority talking about Leo Messi, but probably you can you have not authority in other type of things about soccer in another country of Europe, for example. No, right. You have
so to. It can be very specific.
Exactly.
Okay, and that sounds like a great.
Yeah. And well, if I can mention another thing is that to start in Google Discover, because the most difficult thing to rank on Discover is start to appear there and have impressions on this channel. So it's something that requires time. It's not switch on and it's something that that requires time. And my recommendation, my tips is that you have to prepare local content and more specific content differently from the competence, because it's something that you can really know, you can really work, and you can offer different value with this information. So if your clients or your users audience are in France, you have to prepare content thinking on this type of users. So it's super important to the constant publication of local content based on Paris, on Bordeaux, on Narbonne, no?
Right. So this is something that I assume as a publisher you would already have, but audience analytics are going to be extremely important. Where can someone find you to find out a little bit more about your work on Google Discover, or to contact you if they're interested?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can find me on my websites, clarasoteras.com, or on social networks, Twitter and LinkedIn. And you can also find me in some event in Spain or also internationally. I love meet people in person around this type of events. I would love to talk about Google Discover, Google Search, and SEO for news and product for publishers.
But you've also mentioned that you're open to consulting and training opportunities. So if that's something that you're watching and you're interested in, definitely contact Clara.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for inviting me, and I hope that these little tips can help the publishers and every creator that every content creator that that wants to start this strategy on Google Discover.
Thank you, Clara. That was extremely helpful, and I'm sure we'll get a lot out of that. I can't talk today. Thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you. Hi, Rebecca.